Okay, so animals migrate or move to another place in search of food, water, and shelter as their habitat goes through seasonal change. Okay, so elephants are a good example of this. So when an elephant can't find any more water, any more food in the habitat where they are living, they will just gather all their family and they'll just start walking for miles and miles and miles, even days, until they find a new place where they can stop and drink water, and they find food, and then they'll just drink water until everything dries up again, and then they will move again. So that's how they live, they just move and move and move. Okay, so how do living things depend on each other? So the word depend, do you have any idea what depend is? So how do living things depend on each other?
Okay, so I can play with my friend, but it depends if my friend has any time.
Okay, so that is exactly right, but depend, yeah, that's one meaning, right? But to depend means that
can you borrow, can I have this pen and I'll give it in you this afternoon, and you said, oh, I think you're good, something like that. Think you are good,
So we're gonna see how some animals need each other, okay? So the living things in an environment depend on each other to meet their needs. Frogs depend on insects for food. Birds depend on plants for food and safety. Living things that depend on each other are part of an ecosystem. An ecosystem is all the living and non-living things that interact in an environment. Ecosystems can be any size. They can be as small as a puddle or as large as an ocean. Many populations of plants and animals live in an ecosystem. A population is all the members of a single type of living thing in an ecosystem. For example, all the prairie dogs in a grassland make up a population. Changes to one population can affect the whole community. A community is all the different populations in an ecosystem. Grasses, prairie dogs, and eagles are all part of a prairie community. Like a little beaver or like a little, look, if you look at that, it kind of looks like a beaver, but it also looks like a hamster. I don't know.
I might see them in a film or something.
Maybe, yeah. So these prairie dogs, so they live in prairies, right? And so, okay, let's talk about ecosystem. So an ecosystem, it says it is all the living and non-living things that interact in an environment. Okay, so for example, if we look at this example, frogs and insects, right? So frogs need insects because frogs eat insects. Insects need other different insects to eat, right? A frog might live in a little plant. Maybe a little plant is a frog's home. So that plant, those frogs, and those insects, they all create an ecosystem. So it's like, think of it as a life cycle, but instead of life, it's just like a circle, and everything that you need to survive is inside of it.